The year is 2008 and the financial state of the world is in absolute shambles. Pretty much the whole world is in crippling debt, but there still is one source of happiness for many, and that of course is Formula 1. But if you think that big corporations such as F1 are immune to such financial issues, then you're dumb. But seriously, no they're not. While money was of course low for pretty much most teams in the Formula 1 paddock, a team that suffered horrendously bad was Honda. The Great Recession had taken way too much of a toll on them, so Honda decided to pull out of the sport at the end of the 2008 season. So with Honda gone, who would replace them? Who would take over a dying Formula 1 team in the aftermath of a global recession? Well, this man did, Ross Brawn. Before the 2009 Formula 1 season started, Brawn bought Honda for £1. Yes, you heard me right. £1. Now, it's not as simple as it sounds. Yes, it's true, he did only pay £1 to have full ownership of the team and its assets. But not just anyone could have done that. You see, Brawn was Honda's team principal in 2008, and Honda wanted to sell the team on the condition that it still continues in F1. So essentially, Honda handed Ross Brawn $200 million in assets because they saw it as a better alternative to paying £100 million, liquidating and costing hundreds of people their jobs. So in simple terms, they handed him their failing business in hopes that he could save it, in turn also saving hundreds of people their jobs and also saving Honda the money. Alright, so he bought what seemed like a doomed team. So now what? Well, with the season not having started yet, Ross Brawn changed the name from Honda to Brawn GP. And what's funny is that Formula 1 themselves considered Brawn GP a whole new team. Not like how Racing Point changed to Aston Martin or how Renault changed to Alpine. Brawn GP was a whole new entity. And normally a new team must pay what's called an entry fee, which costs around $200 million. But luckily, Brawn GP was exempt from this fee because of the team's situation. In other words, the vice president of the FIA felt bad for the team because they were broke. Now in 2009, the aero regulations had just been massively altered, so if there was a time to step on the gas pedal for any team, it was now. But for Brawn, things looked a little different. In 2008, Honda had made an absolute failure of a car. So with the same staff and less money, things weren't looking very bright for them. On top of that, since of course Honda pulled completely out of Formula 1, there were no more Honda engines. So Brawn decided to go for a Mercedes power unit instead. So again, like I said, with the same staff that created a terrible car the season before, and now with the added complexity of both designing a completely new car and suiting that car to a power unit they weren't familiar with, Brawn GP had their work cut out for them. Now, realistically, a team in their position would have probably come out at the start of the season with either an absolutely cheeks car or with something in the midfield. But what would be the point of telling this story if that actually happened? When the car was first unveiled, it was an unusual sight. A white car with some cool yellow and black stripes on it, but with only two logos on the car. The Brawn GP logo obviously, and the Bridgestone logo, who of course supplied tires for Formula 1 at the time. The now iconic livery seemed awfully bare at the time. It really did show the lack of finance within the team. But even with that lack of finance, when the first race of the season came around, Brawn showed that they not only made a good car with their restrictions, but they made the fastest car on the damn track. This was already somewhat visible in pre-season testing, but they sealed the deal when the season started. Jenson Button and Rubens Barrichello were of course the drivers for Brawn that season, since they were retained from their previous season with Honda. And speaking of Honda, the Brawn 001 was partially designed by the team while it was still Honda, but after the Honda name left, Brawn, which of course was essentially mostly the same team, had to finish designing the car only tailored towards a Mercedes power unit. I find it hilarious that Honda left exactly when they were cooking up something brilliant. But hey, clearly that's become a habit for them. But like I was saying, the Mercedes-powered Brawn GP car was fast. For the first half of the season, Brawn were unstoppable. They got an insane 1-2 race win in their first race ever as a constructor. There only have been 4 instances where a team has won their debut race. Alfa Romeo in 1950, since of course that's when the championship actually started, Mercedes in 1954, Wolf Racing in 1977, and the last one was of course Brawn GP. What makes Brawn's debut 1-2 even more impressive to me is that in modern Formula 1, the amount of money used is absolutely insane. I actually recently made a video about that if you want to go check it out, but that makes it much harder for teams with less money to compete at the highest level. So the fact that they managed to overcome that is to me one of the most impressive aspects of their story. Jenson Button went ahead and won 6 races in the first half of the 2009 season. If it weren't for China, where he got 3rd place, he would have won 7 races in a row. But the second half of the season didn't look so bright for Brawn. Jenson didn't win any more races from there on and only scored another 2 podiums. However, he was very consistent. Barrichello was also quite consistent and even managed 2 wins in the second half of the season, in Spain and Italy. But the title was ultimately decided in Brazil, the second last race of the season, where Jensen managed a 5th place finish to seal his first ever Drivers' Championship, and Rubens got a P8 to seal the Constructors' Championship. And just like that, Brawn GP were champions. See, what makes this story so crazy isn't just the fact that Brawn were in their debut season and they won both championships. It's that added to the fact that they weren't even supposed to exist that year. It was an improvised team that against all odds did the impossible, and that to me sounds like the ultimate underdog story. Seriously, they should make a movie about this already. Hit up Christopher Nolan and get to work, because that would be a sight to see. But anyway, what's even crazier is, after all their success, Ross Brawn sold the team to Mercedes, and we know the rest from there. Brawn remained the team principal for Mercedes until sadly he made his exit in 2013, but in 2017 he became the managing director of Formula 1, and that's the position he remains in today. Overall, the whole team did an amazing job in 2009. They executed their idea perfectly, they were innovative, and of course the drivers Jenson Button and Rubens Barrichello were ridiculously fast in that Brawn GP car. But ultimately you can trace it all back to this man right here, Ross Brawn. As the leader of the team, he did an impeccable job, and ultimately the team couldn't have won the championship without him. But that was it, guys. If you did enjoy the video, please do consider liking and subscribing, and if you want, comment something down below. It does help with the algorithm, so please do that. But on that note, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all have a blessed night, and I'll catch you all next time.